Is your child on the autism spectrum suffering with low tone, poor coordination, or delayed motor milestones? Well, you've tried countless therapies or intervention, but you feel like your child's not making progress or has plateaued, then video is for you to give you a new perspective on what may be the root cause and what is challenging what is preventing your child from breaking through the plateau. So let's dive in and see how we can help support low muscle tone, poor posture, difficulty with growth, and fine motor skills. Well, it's important that we recognize the correlation between autism and low muscle tone or hypotonia. They've actually found that 50% of individuals on the autism spectrum have low tone. Now, that's significantly higher than the average population or neurotypical population in pediatric patients. And so we know without a doubt that there's a connection between autism and having low muscle tone. It's also why we see developmental delays associated, especially when it comes to motor. When we look at milestones, motor is one of the first milestones we make. As a new baby, the first thing they do is lift their head or support their head, and that's a motor milestone. They move on to be able to roll, eventually to be able to crawl, and then to walk before we see things like talking. Now, it's really a foundational element because we know that the order in which we hit our milestones is very important. It's why we know that crawling is an important prereq. We shouldn't just go straight to walking because crawling and cross-crawling develops the brain in ways that walking doesn't. And so we know that there is a very intricate design in why we develop in certain format and a certain order. And so motor milestones are one of those first ones. And so especially when our kiddos are young, it may be one of the first milestones you notice that your child may be delayed in. And so we know that autism is not only just a behavior struggle, but it also is something that is a neurodevelopmental disorder. And so we know that it's happening on the neurological level. And what that means is it's impacting the nervous system. This is important because the nervous system is the foundation. So if you were to look at a pyramid, we have the central nervous system is the foundation, and then we have the motor milestones, and then we have gut, immune, and then we have digestion, and then we have cognition, brain-based, speech, etc., learning. Looking at my notes. But we really know that that's the foundation. And so when we say it's neurological in orientation, it really is saying it's infecting the central nervous system, which therefore then we see different things that can be affected all the way upstream, or that's a bottom-up approach. And so when we look into motor milestones, we know that in order for the body to be able to grow and develop, it takes integration into the nervous system to be able to integrate these skills. So what's happening when we are experiencing a plateau, when our kids are experiencing a plateau in hitting and making progress towards these motor milestones? Well, oftentimes what happens is going all the way back to the birth perspective, what happens is we put a tremendous amount of pressure on baby's head and neck. And that's how baby is pulled out, whether it be a C-section or even a vaginal delivery, or if there are interventions like vacuum, forceps, etc., we're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on baby's head and neck. And this causes there to be a lot of tension in the head and neck from a muscular perspective. And so on the table, we expect to see more tension in the head and the neck. That's why we see more difficulties with latch, because neck tension is linked to jaw tension. We also see infant torticollis when they prefer one side or they get stuck to one side. When that's gone unresolved, it leads to a head shape or flattening on their head, and that's from favoring one side for too long and that lack of range of motion. And so we know a lot of the main concerns we're typically used to seeing in young babies are related to too much tension in their head and their neck. And then when they start missing their milestones, especially when they start missing their milestone for sitting, because that's one of the first milestones you start to see after rolling. And so they start to see that, oh, they might have a weak core. But when in reality, they actually have too much tension in their neck and shoulders that their body is actually exhausted. And then we notice low tone in other places. And so in what ways or what areas is there too much tone that we haven't addressed that's contributing to low tone we're seeing in other places? So that's the first thing we want to look at. We want to say, where can we come in and decrease tension in other areas to decrease overall stress and tension on the body? But then in turn, relax the body and allow the body to move from a place of rest and digest and relaxation to be able to integrate these new skills and to learn and to grow and to develop. It also is, we notice what's called subluxations. This is when we have interference in the spine that we're looking for as chiropractors. And when we see this, it interrupts the brain to body communication. And so our brain is sending signals to our body is sending signals to our brain. And when we have a joint that's not moving properly, or we have a subluxation, then we have interference in this connection. And so coming alongside OT or PT or even speech, but movement-oriented OT or PT, coming alongside those, adding chiropractic to the mix, if there's restrictions or there's interference in that brain-body communication, it's going to make it very difficult for them to learn the new skills. And so if you're noticing a plateau in learning new skills and really being able to break through in PT or an OT, it may be that they have interference in either their joints or in their nervous system, where we really need to come in and we need to remove that interference for their brain to communicate with their body for us to really optimize the success they can make in PT and an OT. And so those are some of the ways that we notice from a neurological perspective that there can be things going on. And as chiropractors, we're trained to, one, locate areas of subluxation and to adjust accordingly to increase the brain-body communication, to decrease tension in their body in areas where they may be experiencing too much tension that may be stressing the body out or making the body become exhausted. Something they see a lot, especially with low tone, that their body gets exhausted easily. And so in what areas is their body using too much energy that they can allocate towards areas that are low tone that we really want to see them succeed in. So we can free up any areas of interference. We can identify any areas of tension and decrease that. And we can also regulate their nervous system by decreasing their overall stress response so that their body is able to move from more of a place of growth and development for them to really be able to integrate those new skills. And so chiropractic can absolutely help restoring function and support your kiddos in reaching their milestones if you've noticed them plateau. And so go ahead and reach out to our office. We do neurological scans and we see where is there too much tension, where is there not enough tension. We look at where is their inflammation and how overall is their stress response doing. And that really allows us to be able to quantify what's going on in your kiddo's body to give them the support that they need. So we'd love to help support your kiddos on their motor milestone journey, knowing that those motor milestones are such a foundational piece for their growth and development moving forward. And so we want to see them succeed so they can continue to succeed and to thrive and reach their optimal potential.